Good morning, 6th grade. Hopefully you guys had a great Wednesday. It was really nice to see you guys all in the Zoom session. Hopefully you guys can all make it to tomorrow's Zoom session as well, because I'm always looking forward to it. Appreciate the shout outs and everything like that. You guys are a really cool class. So yesterday we talked about how Christianity spread throughout the empire, and it all was because of the Emperor Constantine. And once the emperor became Christianity, he was able to spread it throughout all of Rome. And because of this, remember, everyone wanted to be Roman, so anything the emperor said, they would do. It's ironic because before, they hated Christians. They discriminated against the Jews, they discriminated against anybody that believed in one God. So it's very ironic that they were able to convert to Christianity, and it was all due to the emperor. After that, popes, religious leaders, they became and had a great influence over the Roman Empire because they wanted to listen, they wanted to follow the leaders, and anything they said they would follow. So that's kind of how the popes and everything, they started to influence the empire. Today we are going to move on, and we're going to start to talk about new stuff now. So we're going to start talking about the fall of the Western Roman Empire, and we're going to talk about the division of the empire, and it's going to slowly crumble apart like a cookie. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So here we go. So the fall of the Western Roman Empire begins now. So, building background. Though the Roman Empire remained large and powerful, it faced some serious threats from both outside and inside. Beyond the borders of the empire, many different groups of people were on the move. They threatened the peace of Romans' provinces or divisions, and eventually attacked the heart of the empire itself, which is Rome. So at its height of the Roman Empire, it included all lands around the Mediterranean Sea, like you know. So they controlled everything. The Mediterranean Sea was perfect. It was good for trade, it was good for travel, and they controlled a huge portion of that. Nowadays, around the Mediterranean Sea, they would pretty much have conquered Europe, Northern Africa, parts of Asia, and parts of the Middle East. So they had a lot of land and a lot of territory. But the empire in the early 100s, I just talked about it. Sorry about that. But the empire did not stay large for too long. By the end of the thousands, emperors had given up some of the land to the Romans that they had conquered, and these emperors feared that the empire had become too large to defend or govern itself efficiently. As later rulers discovered, the emperors were right. So when they grew their empire, it became too much for them to handle, and that's going to lead to a lot of problems because remember, communication, they didn't have cell phones, they didn't have email, so they couldn't really communicate with each other from long distances, and this huge empire caused a problem for them. So even as emperors were giving up territory to the people that were attacking them on the borders, new threats of the empire started to appear. There was this tribe of these Germanic warriors, and the Romans called them barbarians. And these barbarians, the reason why they call them barbarians is because they weren't civilized. They were always on the move, and they were ruthless and fearless. So we had these barbarians, and they attacked Rome in the north. At the same time, the Persian armies invaded the east, and the Romans had to defend themselves for 200 years. But when they defended themselves, they had to defend themselves in the north and in the east. And even though they were able to hold them off for 200 years, it caused a lot of damage and problems in the Roman Empire. The Romans struggled with problems inside the empire too, like internal problems. Because so many Romans were needed in the army, there was no more people left to farm the lands. So they didn't have enough food. So what happened was they opened the doors to the people that were attacking them. And the first people they allowed into the Roman Empire were the Germanic people. So they told these Germanic warriors, hey, I know you're fighting, but how about you guys come into the Roman Empire and you guys help us farm and grow crops on the Roman lands. So these farmers came from the tribes that threatened the Rome, and over time, these German communities moved into the empire, and they chose to their own leaders and pretty much ignored everything that the Romans did, which caused problems for the Romans. So they thought it was going to be good for Rome to get help, but in the end, it backfired. Other internal problems also threatened Rome's survival, such as disease. Disease started to kill a lot of these people. The government started to increase taxes to pay for the defense, but they didn't have enough money to pay. So desperate Romans looked for a strong emperor to solve these problems. So they needed a strong leader because now everything is starting to collapse. They're getting attacked at the borders. They invite these warriors in to help them farm. They start to create their own problems to attack them from inside out. And it just became a huge problem for the Romans. So as the Romans were looking for a strong leader or a new emperor, they actually got it. The Romans were looking for this guy. His name was Diocletian. And Diocletian, he took power in the late 200s. Pretty much what he did was he convinced that the empire was way too big for one person to rule. So he said, what if I just hire two people? We have two empires. So I'll divide the empire. And pretty much what happens, well, you rule the eastern half and we'll have another person rule the western side. And that's exactly what they did. So not long after Diocletian did this, he hired the Emperor Constantine, who we know was the Christian, okay? So Constantine came. And what Constantine did was he decided, Diocletian, I know how you divided the empire, but since I'm the leader now, I'm going to have to bring everyone back together. I do not want to have two emperors. I want to be the sole one in charge. So Diocletian said, divide it, like in the map, divide this up, one for the west, one for the east. And Constantine, when he came into power, said, yeah, about that, we're not going to do it. So what Constantine did was he united the two halves of the Roman Empire for a short time. One way he was able to do it was through Christianity, like we learned yesterday. So Constantine, what he did was, how about this? We just go ahead and move the entire empire's capital into the east. So what he did was, instead of having the capital in Rome, because that's where everyone was attacking, let's go ahead and move the capital to Constantinople, which is now in Turkey or in Istanbul. Okay, so there he built this huge capital city and said, let's just move it. People will never know and they'll never attack us. So he moved the capital, which is called Constantinople, which means the city of Constantine, because he was the one that created it. And that's how they ran it. Although the empire was still called the Roman Empire, Rome was no longer the capital, no longer where their power was, and all power had moved to the eastern part of the empire. So the Western Empire is no longer the main one, and it's going to move to the east, and it's going to cause a lot of problems. Even to this day, now that little split is still a split from today. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, and you're going to start to see modern history come into what we're talking about. So as a quick review, we started to talk about the problems that threatened the Roman Empire. One of the major problems was it was way too big for one person to handle. We had Germanic warriors coming in and attacking in the north. We had the Persians attacking in the east. We invited the German warriors to come in and help us farm because we needed more people in the Roman army and not enough people to farm. When we invited them, they started to create their own packs and started to attack outwards. We talked about how there wasn't enough food, there's not enough money to pay for the empire, and they needed a stronger emperor. That emperor that came in was Diocletian. Diocletian, he came in and said, you know what, this empire is too big. Let's just go ahead and divide it and we'll have two emperors. It worked. He split the east and the west. Until Constantine came. When Constantine came and said, everything that Diocletian said, let's not do that because I want to have ultimate power. So Constantine took over the whole Roman Empire and decided, we are going to go ahead and just move the capital. Forget Rome. Everyone wants to attack Rome. We're not going to have it there. We're going to move it to Constantinople, the city that I created. We'll talk about Constantinople in a little bit because Constantinople is a really cool city. He did that there, and pretty much Rome was no longer the main power area. It would now move to the eastern half, and the Western Roman Empire is going to start to collapse because of this. For homework, I want you to answer these questions. Number 1, why did Diocletian divide the Roman Empire? What did he think, and why did he do it? 2, what problems did Rome face in the years 100 and 200s? So this was before Diocletian. So what problems were they facing inside and outside? And number 3, why do you think power moved east when Constantinople moved the empire's capital? Why do you think everything moved and all the power shifted to the east? So that concludes our lesson for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that or learned something new. Don't forget, if you have questions, I'm always here. You can always message me. And I am looking forward to seeing you guys all tomorrow in another live Zoom class meeting on Friday. So Friday, 9 o'clock, see you guys all in the Zoom session. Have a great day.